Now we'll go to National Civil Aviation Policy, because when we study UDAN, Ude Desh Ka Aam Nagrik, or Regional Connectivity Scheme, it was launched as part of National Civil Aviation Policy. Now, why are we studying National Civil Aviation Policy? As I told you in the previous classes, कि किसी भी सेक्टर, अगर कोई सेक्टर है हमारा सिलेबस में है, उसकी कोई पॉलिसी है, स्टडी इट. अब उन्होंने चाइल्ड पॉलिसी पे क्वेश्चन, चाइल्ड पॉलिसी लॉन्च होने के 10-15 साल बाद पूछ लिया. वी कैन नॉट से कि नहीं, हाउ कैन यू आस्क इट इन GS2? वल्नरेबल सेक्शन सिलेबस में है, चिल्ड्रन उसमें आ जाते हैं, वल्नरेबल सेक्शन में आते हैं. तो दे कैन ऑलवेज आस्क यू यार नेशनल चिल्ड्रन पॉलिसी क्या है ना. ऐसे ही व्हाट इज नेशनल सिविल एविएशन पॉलिसी, व्हाट आर इट्स की फीचर्स, वो 5-6 पॉइंट्स should always be there on our tips. And through this you also understand the core issues in India's civil aviation sector, because the policy will try to solve those core issues. Do we understand this? Do we get it? So India came with its first national civil aviation policy in 2016. This policy is aimed at ensuring regional connectivity or enhancing regional connectivity, that is और ज्यादा areas में our plane should be able to reach, take flying to masses by making it affordable. So not only connectivity but affordable connectivity. Establish an integrated ecosystem which will lead to significant growth in aviation sector and promote tourism, employment, balanced regional growth, and enhance ease of doing business through deregulation, simplified procedures, and use of technology. तो देखो, हमने जब अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स बताई थी, डिड वी से रिजिड रेगुलेशंस वगैरह प्रॉब्लम्स है, डिड वी स्पीक अबाउट इट? एंड सिविल एविएशन पॉलिसी इज फोकस्ड ऑन दैट. नाउ व्हाट आर द salient features, what are the key most important provisions of civil aviation policy? सबसे पहला है रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी स्कीम और उड़ान. अंडर रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी स्कीम, गवर्नमेंट इज reviving ghost airports which were not being used, and constructing some new greenfield airports. Not only is this revival happening, plus government is also providing subsidies to operators so that people are able to travel on these planes without a lot of cost. तो जैसे जैसे लोग initially when it will be affordable and people get used to air movement, even because of government subsidy, what would happen in future? The demand in general would increase. Initially, I personally was very hesitant in using एयरप्लेन मैकेनिज्म. मेरे को लगता था बहुत एक्सपेंसिव है, ये है वो है, ये सारे रीजंस हो सकता. बाद में रियलाइजेशन केम कि नहीं, इट्स नॉट दैट एक्सपेंसिव. इफ यू गो बाय 3 AC, आपका 20 घंटे भी तो जा रहे हैं. इफ यू गेट 1 लाख रुपीज अ मंथ, इट इज 3,000 रुपीज अ डे. वो एस्पेक्ट भी जा रहा है. तो रियलाइज दैट. ओके, तो कमिंग बैक टू इनिशियली, वंस मेरे को एक बार ऑफिस ने अपने पैसों पे बुला लिया, आई अंडरस्टूड हाउ इजी इट वाज. आई started using it more. This is just an example of once in a town airport comes, some people who are well off may start using it. But एक ना, जब सिविल एविएशन पॉलिसी रीजनल कनेक्टिविटी स्कीम लॉन्च हुआ था, तो ये बोला जाता था कि हवाई चप्पल पहनने वाले हवाई जहाज में ट्रैवल करते हैं, दैट इज द गोल. या उड़ान का उड़े देश का आम नागरिक. तो नॉट ओनली इंश्योर कनेक्टिविटी बट ऑल्सो कीप इट अफोर्डेबल इन द बिगिनिंग. That is the goal. Then route dispersal guidelines were modified. Now, what is route dispersal guidelines? देखो, if you leave it to the operators, टाटा को बोलो आप खुद डिसाइड करो किन एयरपोर्ट्स के बीच में प्लेन चलाना. इंडियन एयरलाइंस को बोलो, जेट एयरवेज को बोलो, स्पाइस जेट को बोलो, they will all be flying trains. Oh, sorry, not flying trains. Flying planes between Delhi, Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata. ये कुछ main centers होंगे, Ahmedabad and so on, where they'll be providing services. Because these centers get filled very easily, you have lots of passengers here. आपकी प्लेन खाली नहीं जा रही होगी, those conditions would not be there, and this is profitable for them. If you leave it on operators ki, you decide on the basis of business where you have to take it. So our regional places will not get air connectivity or will not have good enough services. Perhaps the Tata will decide कि एक दिन के लिए चला दो, एक वीक में एक दिन के लिए चला दो दिल्ली से बनारस की प्लेन, something like that. The government comes up with what is known as route dispersal guidelines. What are route dispersal guidelines? It says that ये जो main centers है, if you are flying 100 people for 2 hours here, a percentage of that you should also be flying in other routes. The route dispersal guidelines were modified to ensure that even in Northeast India and hilly terrains, more services are available. And in the National Civil Aviation Policy, one key aspect about National Civil Aviation Policy was regional connectivity scheme. So airports banana, airports ko revive karna, plus affordable travel ensure karna. We'll talk about how that was being done. Like separately, we are talking about regional connectivity scheme. Second, what is the thing? Route dispersal guidelines were modified so that more regional flights could be there, and especially there was emphasis on Northeast India and hilly states. Then 520 requirement was replaced with new schemes for starting international flight. Now, what was this 520 requirement? Initially, it has been replaced. Before 2016, before National Civil Aviation Policy, 520 requirement was there. 520 requirement said this: if you are a new domestic player, you will be able to go for international flight only after you have 5 years of experience and you have 20% of your services can be international. मतलब आप domestic में ज़्यादा services provide करो. But this created problems for someone like Vistara who had just come. उसको 5 साल wait करना पड़ता before going international, before providing international services. So this was a cause of concern. Government has replaced this method. 520 requirement has been replaced with new scheme for starting international flight. The new scheme क्या है? New scheme says that all airlines can commence international operations provided that they deploy 20 aircraft or 20% of total capacity, whichever is higher in domestic operations. तो विस्तारा कैन नाउ, और अब तो विस्तारा को 5 साल हो गए, बट कोई भी नया सर्विस प्रोवाइडर हु कम्स, it will be able to provide international services the moment they have 20 flights. So 20 flights minimum, or 20% of your total capacity should be flying domestically at least, and then you can go for this. So it simplified it ensured ease of doing business for new players. Then bilateral traffic rights. So here National Civil Aviation Policy said that with our neighboring countries, with SAARC countries, we will enter into open sky agreements. Open sky agreement will make it easy for us to go over those countries. Otherwise, जैसे हमें ना Pakistan restricts the flight of Indian planes going over Pakistan. तो हमें जब उस साइड जाना पड़ता है तो घूम के जाना पड़ता है. Right? So open sky, it was decided that open sky agreement would be signed. Then airport development through PPP mode by Airport Authority of India, state government or private sector, may future tariff will be on the basis of hybrid till model. Future tariffs will be on the basis of hybrid till model. ये बताइए कौन बताना चाहेगा? Anyone knows what hybrid till model is? PPP models हम पढ़ते हैं, उसमें the tariff will be on the basis of hybrid till model. Hybrid till model is a combination of, hybrid लिखा हुआ है, it's a combination of single till and double till. Models. Now what are the single till model, double till model? इसको थोड़ा सा समझते हैं. So basically, your one line that you should be able to write if National Civil Aviation Policy पे सवाल आता है, what are the key provisions of National Civil Aviation Policy? So one line that you will write is, within PPP model, it introduced the concept of hybrid till model. अनलेस आपसे पीपीपी मॉडल को और इलेबोरेट करने को बोला, यू विल नॉट बी गोइंग इनटू मोर डिटेल्स. तो हाइब्रिड टिल मॉडल का कॉन्सेप्ट इंट्रोड्यूस किया. बट नाउ व्हाट इज हाइब्रिड टिल मॉडल? लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड दैट. लेट अस broadly look into it. चलिए, let's come back. So let's understand what is hybrid till model. That is what we wanted to understand. देखो, let's say there is this private player who developed this airport. अब इन एयरपोर्ट पे ना बीओटी टोल मॉडल होता है, मान लो. तो क्या होगा बीओटी मॉडल? तो दिस प्लेयर विल रन द एयरपोर्ट, विल कलेक्ट द रेवेन्यू, and after concession period will give the ownership back to government. ये होता है जनरली. नाउ इशू विथ एयरपोर्ट इज, एयरपोर्ट में ना some revenue is generated by plane wali services and some revenue is generated by all the shops and shopping. And है ना, आप अगर एयरपोर्ट्स पे गए हो तो all the luxury brands will try to have their shops there, all the food counters would be there and everything would be there. So a lot of revenue is generated from this also. तो जो एयरपोर्ट के जो operators है who have developed the airport, who are operating it right now, they say, acha, before that, the plane operators, the airport operators, they say that only consider, so pehle airport operators ki baat hai, they say that only consider this revenue in measuring how much we are earning in next 15 years. How much we are earning in next 15 years. Concession period mein hame recovery karni hai na, for that only consider this revenue, not the entire one, because it is this revenue which should be able to help us get our investment back, get our profit in everything. This is an extra thing that we have. It is a commercial activity that we have initiated. And therefore, if in 30 years, let's say 30-year concession period, if in 30 years, from this business only we have to recover our revenue, we have to recover our investment and profit, then the fee that will be charged on these plane operators would be higher. Fee that will be charged on plane operators would be higher. Plane operators say, nahi, you consider the entire revenue. है ना? तो airport operators के लिए, the model that airport operators want, they want a double till model. This and this are different. They want a single till model. Now, to solve this, अब तो हमें double till single till में बहुत जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, but civil aviation policy introduced what? Introduced hybrid till. कि some revenue from even this commercial segment, even this shops and malls and other things will also be considered for calculating the entire revenue that airport operators are getting. Not all of it, but some of it will be considered. तो hybrid till model पे पहुंचे, दोनों के बीच में compromise. तो civil aviation policy has brought this hybrid till model. You'll see future tariffs at all airports will be calculated on hybrid till basis unless specified otherwise in concession agreement. 30% of non-aeronautical revenue will be used to cross-subsidize aeronautical charges. Do you get it? तो सिविल एविएशन, तो देखो इतना सारा लिख नहीं पाओगे समझाने के लिए. अब आपको अगर सिविल एविएशन पॉलिसीज के बारे में पूछा जाएगा, you have to write 5 features. So what will you write? One point that you will write is introduction of hybrid till model to determine the aeronautical charges. Right? बस एक लाइन लिख पाओगे. Then there is also focus on aviation education and skill building. तो वो तो जनरल चीजें हैं.